Joining me now, as he always does on a Tuesday, former Labor Senator Stephen Conroy. Stephen, good to see you. Thanks for your time as always. So there's a few stats out today, and it's primarily about surveys that have been done assessing the mental health of people, particularly younger people who are struggling to deal with this pandemic. I just want to get your take on that and what you think of it in terms of a full picture of the pandemic.
I think that the lived experience of most Australians is that the longer this pandemic goes on, the tougher it is on everybody, kids especially, because they lose all of their support networks that they form at school. They don't get that mingling and mixing, even if it's just going to the train station, catching the train with your friends going to school. And then the school environment, which is a far healthier environment. I mean, we've all managed, we've all done well, and Victorian students, according to the NAPLAN results, did very well last year, surprisingly compared to other states, given that we were enduring, one of the longest and worst lockdowns. So everybody wants out of these lockdowns as fast as possible, which is why we've got to get vaccinated. Australia's got to ignore the siren call of people like Pauline Hanson and the apologists and the anti-vaxxers. We need vaccine passports so that Australians get some reward. I mean, we're being promised freedom when we hit the 70 or the 80%. But Australians need certainty. Small businesses need certainty to be able to open their shops, their cafes, their restaurants, their bars, and they need certainty. And that's why the Prime Minister does need to step up on this one. He needs to give small business security that they can enforce a vaccine passport. But equally at the same time, we've got stats out saying Australians are wary about opening up while kids aren't vaccinated. And as a parent, I absolutely understand that. I'll be first in that queue on September 13th to get a Pfizer vaccine for my daughter.
Yeah, just on the vaccination rates, and I just read them out there. New South Wales and Victoria surging. I feel like at the end of this, there'll be some togetherness between New South Wales and Victoria after all this time. But once Victoria and New South Wales, and once we hit 80% vaccination rates, should we be able to go ahead and do things, ease restrictions as we like, without waiting for the laggards, the Queenslands and the Western Australians to catch up?
Well, the problem is if any particular state is lagging, the other states are going to be very cautious about opening their borders to a state that's a real laggard. And in Queensland, we're seeing significant political figures like Pauline Hanson campaigning against the vaccination, saying, I won't do it, I have the right to die. And that's great, you do, but you don't have the right to infect the rest of Australia. I mean, I'm looking forward to Pauline Hanson trying to get on a Qantas or a Virgin plane when the vaccine passports come into play. I mean, she'll say, I have the right to not be discriminated against travel, and I have the right to sit next to you on a plane and not be infected by COVID from you, Pauline. That is the situation. And so the Prime Minister has got to put in place rock-solid legal protection for companies that are going to deny services to unvaccinated Australians.
I mean, that should be on her, isn't it? That's the risk that she is taking by not having a vaccine. So if she ends up getting COVID, then she is going to suffer the consequences.
Yeah, but that's right. That is on her. But if she wants to sit on a plane next to somebody and give them COVID because she's selfish, then that is not acceptable. This idea that I have the right to do whatever I want and I can infect and possibly kill other Australians because I'm demanding the right to infect them, well, that's not a human right. That's not a legal principle. She has to understand that her selfish attitude and behaviour can cause death to other Australians. And I think the vast majority of Australians are going to say, we want protected from an idiot like Pauline Hanson.
I just had this conversation with Ben English, the editor of the Daily Telegraph, and it relates to the figures that are out today on the mental health toll. And he sort of suggested that there's this fixation, right, on the daily case numbers, but should there be other numbers that are also included every day, such as calls that have been made to Lifeline, perhaps numbers on the amount of businesses that have folded every day, to give people an idea of what else is going on other than the COVID positive numbers?
Look, I think that those are important statistics. Trying to elevate issues around mental health, which are in the community anyway. I mean, I saw Patrick McGorry say the system of mental health in Australia pre-COVID was underdone, needed greater funding.
Yeah.
So this is not a direct COVID outcome. This is exacerbated by COVID. And so to lump all of Australia's mental health issues in as a distraction
sure.
To do with COVID is just a meaningless effort to demand the right to bash premiers who they don't like.